What up? Can you hold my hand? I call this meeting of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members are present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. As you can see, Mr. Romero is absent, so I'm going to do my very best in his absence to run the meeting smoothly. Tonight, the Board of Trustees is meeting in a called work session board meeting. The board welcomes and appreciates comments and inputs from the community. Open forum is provided at each meeting to allow the public to address the board. There will be 2 open forums tonight. Open forum number 1 is to hear requests regarding agenda items only. Open forum number 2 is to hear requests or make comments regarding non-agenda items and will be heard at the end of the meeting. Those addressing the board are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes per meeting. The speaker should identify his or her name, group affiliation if any, and make a brief presentation with an identified solution if one is sought. Remarks should be addressed to the board as a whole. Oral presentations may not include charges against any employee or board member by name. It is my responsibility to determine if the person addressing the board has attempted to resolve a concern informally or through the district's complaint policies. If not, the speaker will be directed to follow the appropriate policy. The board requests that all presentations be made in a courteous, respectful, and professional manner and asks that speakers monitor their own behavior. If you wish to speak during one of these open forums, please fill out one of the cards located on the table in the entry hall. Okay, Dr. Harrington, any superintendent comments?
The only thing I wanted to mention, last weekend we had the HEB band marching contest, and we always follow that up. This coming Saturday will be the Bands of America contest. So if marching band is your thing, you want to be at Pennington on Saturday. So I just wanted to share that.
Any clarifications regarding questions from board members?
No clarifications at this time.
Okay. At this time, Ms. Hollander will do the recognition for the LD Bell, Texas State Association of Student Councils at LD Bell High School.
Thank you so much. So tonight we have the privilege of hearing from the students themselves. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Giselle Ransom up. She is going to introduce her student council members, and then they want to share some really exciting and great news with you. And then if it's okay with you guys, we're going to do a picture when they're done.
Hello, board. I was here like 2 weeks ago, so hello again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go down our officers and introduce our student council officers. Our first officer is the Media and Communications Director, Emery Elliott. And our historian is Radwa Abdel Fattah. Our treasurer is Aiden Aguilera. Secretary is Estrella Santibanez. Parliamentarian is Zoe Rhodes. Vice President is Hannah Robin. And then I am Giselle Ransom, if you didn't know, Student Council President. And then our last officer who we're going to introduce is our TASC State Parliamentarian and District Fall Conference host. And then if you guys will pose for a picture real quick.
You were hiding from me.
And now I'm gonna let Madison go ahead and tell you about our upcoming events and the great thing that's happening at Bell.
Hello, as mentioned before by Giselle. Well, I am Madison Sanders, and I serve as the Texas Association of Student Council State Parliamentarian and District 3 Fall Conference Coordinator. It is my privilege to be invited to today's meeting to share with you all the things LD Bell has accomplished this past year. The student leadership and membership of our student council has engaged our campus by monthly events for the past 2 years. Last year, we became an active member in the organization TASC, or Texas Association of Student Councils. Sorry, I'm nervous. Okay, we started small by achieving the Sweepstakes Award by outperforming in all areas in our committees, which are Pride and Patriotism, Energy and Environment, Community Service, and DASH, which is Drugs, Alcohol, Prevention, and Safety and Health Awareness. We also had the privilege to be awarded this year's District 3 Fall Conference Coordinator, as mentioned, but we thought we could go even bigger, and we went for a state officer position and by using our platform, Stolen People, Stolen Dreams. This platform is about educating people on human trafficking and ways to help survivors. We went to the annual state conference, and we campaigned for about 3 days. After that, I was elected into as the state, or TASC state parliamentarian. Sorry. TASC students all across, excuse me. Thank you for y'all's patience. Okay, sorry. TASC teaches students all across Texas about leadership skills. TASC holds workshops and conferences and even implements a state service project. Our student council has advocated and attended these trainings around the state, including TASC leadership workshops. These workshops help us network and bring back ideas to our student council and even our campus. As I've stated before, though, LD Bell is hosting our District 3 Fall Conference, and we would love to invite you guys to come on October 28th. It starts at 8 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. This conference includes counties like Grayson, Ellis, Hunt, and Palo Pinto. So it's a very big event, and it's going to have around 800 people attending. So this is very humongous for us. Our student council has grown this past year a lot, and we are adamant on providing opportunities for students for leadership and to inspire by establishing a lasting legacy wherever they go. So thank you again for inviting me to this meeting and all of us here today, and we hope to see y'all at the District 3 Fall Conference on October 28th. Thank you.
You did great, Madison.
So-
if it helps, I'm nervous too because I never run the meeting, so I'm up here like shaking too. So we get it.
That actually happens to me every single time I'm at convocation and talking to all 2,400 employees. I lose my breath like that. Talking to teachers is really unnerving. So I totally understand. But I have a couple questions about this event. So you said there's 800 people coming. So what's the agenda for the day? Like, are you having meetings? Are you having like an assembly? How does that work exactly?
We do have a flyer of the precise schedule, but we do start off with a big general.
I'm going to ask you to come back over here to the microphone because I don't want to make you even more nervous, but there could be people watching through the interwebs. Yes.
Thank you, you're so sweet. Okay, so we do start off with a big general welcome. So all the students will be in the auditorium at first, and then we have a keynote speaker, and then
Which is Jeff Burnett.
which is Jeff Burnett
Oh,
so far. Yes.
wonderful. Great
Nice.
idea. Whose idea was that? Good one. Good one.
And then we will then send them into breakout sessions, which we have group 1 and 2, which will be in the auditorium, because that is going to be over fentanyl and how ways to stay safe with drugs. And the police officers for HEB ISD are going to be hosting that. And then groups 3 and 4 are going to be in 2 different breakout rooms, which we are still getting more speakers about that. But one of them is Alliance for Children, and so they're going to be teaching about leadership and also our part of our platform, human trafficking, and ways they can help stay safe and support survivors as well. And then what we will be doing is all the groups will be going to the band hall, and it's just going to be a bunch of different things that we're going to be doing with them as well there, and then to the cafeteria for lunch, and then Trunk or Treat, which is our big event. We're going to be having a whole bunch of things like booths that people can hold, petting zoos, and things like that. But mentioned before in the band hall for the different groups, we are going to be having breakout rooms, which anybody in our district can host these breakout rooms. This is a part of networking and sharing ideas where you can bring back to your school, because sometimes schools don't really know where to start off, especially with TASE. So this gives them just a good start off on how they can be more active in their community or in their campus, things like that. So these breakout rooms are really important for that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just going to be a really fun event, and it's just going to teach them all about leadership and what student council is as a whole. So yeah.
Great.
That's
Thank
a
you.
huge
That's really
agenda.
helpful.
You guys are tackling some really important and big subjects.
Yes, we're
So
excited.
kudos to you guys for stepping up at your school and stepping up in the state and doing this. It says a lot about your character and your leadership, and we're super proud of you. I just put it on my calendar, so I'll be there as much of the day as I can.
Very
for sure.
excited.
So I know you want us to come for the fun stuff, but is there anything you need from us?
We have already asked this city, but if you would also like, we would definitely need a lot of volunteers. So if there is a shortage on certain foods, like if someone has a peanut allergy and we're short on that, we would definitely need a couple volunteers to go out and get those foods or things like that. Or if we need more supplies, if someone runs out of like an extension cord during Trunk or Treat, we would definitely need things like that for people to be just on deck helping us.
Is that your teacher in the back?
Yes, that
Is there anything that the board can do to help that day that would be specifically leadership oriented or anything like that?
Y'all can host the trunk or treat booth and just have fun.
Oh, that too.
Because sometimes, we like to have fun with you guys, and so we would love for y'all to decorate your trunk, hand out candy, play a little game with
Yeah.
them. Just have fun with the kids.
Yeah. Sign me up, and whoever on this board can participate, we'll be there.
Love to have y'all there.
Yeah. Just let me know what time I need to be there and all that.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you all so much. We're so proud of you guys. Any cards for open forum number 1, Ms. Hollander? 2? Okay. Oh, for the second open forum. Okay, great, thank you. All right, we doing pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Chapter 551, the board will adjourn to closed session for section 551.071, .072, .074, and .076. Okay, the board will reconvene into open session for further action on agenda items. And we will review our regular board meeting agenda items, 7.01, budget transfer and amendment request for consideration in October 2023. Mr. Williams.
Okay. Let me find that. Okay, they're very minimal this month. I think we have $10,000 budget transfer request, which we typically don't really have anything in September, but we had one small one this month. That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Williams? Extension of annual purchase of fuel, 7.02. Mr. Kerbo?
Well, we got to buy gas for our buses and vehicles. And last October, we entered in, the board approved an agreement with Tarrant County Purchasing Cooperative to purchase fuel. We participate in a number of contracts. This is one that allows us several sources to have fuel delivered and so forth. Last year, we asked for authorization to spend up to $750,000, and our actual purchases exceeded that, so our number has grown or increased to $950,000 that we're asking to approve.
Any questions? 7.03, Phase 2 HVAC Building Automation Controls Upgrade. Mr. Minor?
So I just wanted to come up this evening and be able to provide a little more clarity on this project. Back to 2017, this was a very large project and had a number of factors that have basically delayed us from being able to move forward. A number of those could be anything from pandemic. We had some team members that also changed, and there was a number of other factors. But we're going to be able to get us back on track now, and that's what we're trying to do. With this is a controller that helps actually run and hold the programs at the buildings, and also helps provide a little buffer between actually accessing servers that we don't want them to be going into to be able to pull out their schedules.
Any questions?
I have a question. So just looking at the phrasing in the background information, the 2017 was referred to as Phase 1. This is Phase 2, 6 years later. Is there a Phase 3?
There will be. So as the other part to this is, as it expanded, we were able to grab more efficiency. And so in this project is everything from JACES to also having graphics and programming performed by this vendor. And so there'll be more of that to be able to come as well, yes.
The work that was done on the administration building in 2017, that's the only facility that's included twice in 2017 and now. Are we replacing what was done in 2017, or is it in addition to?
In addition to.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? 7.04, fencing, installation, materials, and supplies for all campuses noted.
Okay, so there's also, just want to provide some clarification on this as well. This will be taking care of a number of our elementaries, and then I did understand that we normally would have a map or a drawing to go along with this, and so my team is working on those, and we'll have those as we move forward in the future as well. As far as a concern or any questions about attaching to anybody else's fence, Dan and I spoke about this and looked into it, and we are within exactly where we need to be. We are able to do that. It's also being able to allow us to be able to get more fencing in quicker and to be able to utilize that. And we're also using surveys to be able to find our bounds. We're definitely not going to put a fence and encroach on somebody or not be able to get the fence where it needs to be as well.
Any questions?
So expand on that a little bit. So for example, if we've got a school like Meadow Creek whose boundary backs up to a neighborhood fence.
Yes, sir.
How are we dealing with the neighborhood fence? Are we putting a fence right next to it, or are we using that fence?
We'd use their fence, yes.
Okay.
So if you look at Trinity, same thing happened. We brought the chain link around. It went between us and the churches, us and another church, and then there's a residential area. We just went right up to their corner post and stopped. And then we had to close in about an 8 to 10 foot gap down by the street. And we did the same thing, just brought that over and just went right beside theirs. That way we're not building a double fence that's not necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Did we ever have any, and there's a few of these that are next to city parks. And when we had originally talked about this, we had talked about asking the cities to have some skin in the game. Did we ever do that?
We did, but that really just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I imagine.
Anything else? 7.05, declaration of construction manager at risk, two-step process as the construction delivery method for 4 elementary replacement campuses.
If you don't mind, I'd like to step back in and give you a little clarification on this as well. Right now, we've used CSP for many years, as long as I've been here. And one of the reasons for the environment right now which we're in that is not performing the way it has in the past. Speaking with some of my colleagues right now, they're seeing 20% increase CSP over CMR performing. Recently, an elementary in this area, it actually went out. They only had 1 bidder show up, first of all. Second, their square foot costs were over the $500 per square foot range. We're down in the 400s. So it is not bringing that in. And the reason is you have subs that when they turn their pricing into their GCs, they're really escalating their pricing. They're very concerned and actually scared. If they're not going to be able to secure their contracts out for over 2 years, and our jobs are about a 10 to 14 month job, they're too scared of being hung with parts and things like that create delays. And within a CSP, you don't have that same flexibility in a CMR. As soon as I have my contract, we can look at the basically your stop gaps or your critical path. I can secure those right away, and in CSP, you cannot do that until you have your contract. So that'd be another reason. Any questions on that?
No questions?
So I've got a question. So competitive sealed bids, that's the way we've built all of these elementary schools up until this point. So doing it by a construction manager at risk, although we have built these prototype schools before, you still think this is a change in direction that we need to go in order to deliver the project on time and under budget?
100%. And you said the key words, on time and on budget. And right now, the part of that would be...
I said under budget.
Under budget, that's right. Exactly, absolutely. You should know better than that.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. On time, that is a key factor in this as well, because, we're combining. We're also putting 4 of them together. We're not just doing 1 at a time. That's going to give us another advantage of this as well, because the very first one will be the one that we'll have to watch the schedules and really be tied to. With that GC, the one thing that we have done, like you said, repetitive, we built the same prototype over and over. What we haven't done is built the same prototype on a different site over and over. So that piece is also an outlier there. Also, being able to secure our generators, our switchgear, and all of that equipment ahead of time. So like I said, the first one will be the one that's closest. It'll be just like Bel Air. But every one after that, we'll be able to have all of our switchgear and all of our gen sets and everything in advance. If anything, I was speaking with somebody just a few hours ago, and we were saying, if they did it right, they can buy out every one of those right up front, but we may have to put in there that they can allow them to do just that. That way they can buy all those out, and there'll be no critical path that we'd have to miss on that. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Minor. 7.06, Superior Fiber and Data, CCTV Video Recording System Upgrade. Mr. Curbo.
One of the priorities for the safety and security projects to consider was to upgrade or to add additional security cameras, both the interior and exterior. We attempted to, we did put out an RFP to do that, but what we learned through the process is that our monitoring system didn't have the capacity to be able to handle those cameras, and we took a step back from that to go out and upgrade that so that it will have the capacity to handle the additional cameras that we need. Once that's in place, then we will submit an RFP for the cameras and installation that were needed. So this is going to be step 1 of that, and then step 2 will reissue the RFP and bring that back to you at a later date.
Any questions? 7.07, direct declaration of the construction delivery method for acquired properties and related action.
So we purchased the 2100 Plaza Parkway. As you know, we're not calling it the 24-hour fitness anymore. No. This will allow us to be able to renovate that. That's considered a project that can be accomplished through a job order contract because of the nature and the scope of work. We're also in the process of looking at another property to continue our facility improvement plans with relocation of Keys High School. Got to find a place for those folks. And this will allow us, and we've identified one. I don't want to share too much about that because of we're still in discussions with that. But this will allow us to use the competitive seal proposal method to make improvements to that particular property and any other property that may come along.
Any questions? Okay, action items. 8.01, consider approval of donations for the October regular meeting, presentation of certificates of appreciation.
I move the board approve the October 2023 donations as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the October 2023 donations as presented. Please vote. That motion passes. 8.02, consider approval of update to 2023-2024 staffing table, new unit, Ms. Tuttle.
All right, so we are asking you to consider one additional unit in special education. It's an early childhood special education teaching unit at Bell Manor Elementary. And then normally we don't include reorgs on this front page. Those are typically reserved for the detailed reports. But I'm including it because I do want you to know that at Shady Brook, we are actually taking a teaching unit, dividing it into 2 teacher assistant units. They're all sped to better meet the needs of the students there. So there is only one additional unit we're asking for approval on tonight.
Any questions? Okay.
I move the board approve the new unit as submitted.
Second.
I was about ready to make the motion.
Well,
Okay, thank
I
you,
was
Ms.
waiting
Cole.
for you to say, is there a motion?
Is there a motion? I was about ready to make the motion. Okay. There is a motion and a second to approve the new unit as submitted. Please vote. And that motion passes. Open forum number 2. Thank you.
Is it 1?
Okay. 1-4. Okay. Mr. Lasada, if you'll come to the microphone, please state your name. Your time will begin when you start speaking. You have 3 minutes. Your time remaining will appear on the overhead screen. We respectfully ask that you conclude your remarks at the end of your time.
I have a quick question for you. First of all, my name is Gary Lasada, and I see a couple of familiar faces when I was here in the past. But my question is that the item is 10.03, and at this point, if I speak, will you not be able to ask me any questions? I always like to get questions. I don't get to do this very often. So you can't do that in an open forum? Really?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Then we'll go forward. My name is Gary Lasada, and I'm here tonight to ask you to consider nominating me for the TAD Board of Directors. Approximately 4 years ago, the then Board of Directors did nominate me and vote me into the TAD Board of Directors. I served for 2 years, and 2 years ago, I asked for your votes also, and I believe you split the votes among 3 different candidates. We are at that time of year again. We're in the season for nominations and then appointments to the TAD Board of Directors. The way this works is that first comes a nomination. Those nominations will conclude on October 15th of this year, and then effective November 1st, you'll get into the actual appointment process, and you'll have to take another vote at that point to actually vote the individual in that you would like. I'm sure you've been following the news media lately, and there's been a lot of difficulty at TAD. It is, excuse me, it is a little bit upside down, and there are current board members that are probably going to rotate off. And one of the things I'd like to stress to you is that if you consider an individual such as myself, is that you'll have somebody that's consistent, there'll be continuity. Probably there's nobody in Tarrant County that could stack up against my resume, and I don't mean to be egotistical about that, but serving 6 years on the ARB and 2 years on the TAD board more than qualifies me to know what needs to be done. There needs to be a culture change at TAD, no question about it. My background also is that I have a master's degree in education from Stanford University, so I am familiar a little bit with education. I was assistant to the superintendent of schools for 3.5 years, and I was also working for city government. So I have a vast amount of experience. Also in the private sector, I own my own companies. I urge you to consider me and cast your votes in my favor. I think I'll do you a great job. And the other thing I offered to you, and I got 16 seconds, is this. Call me back up when another agenda item is on there on the board so that I can fire away and respond to any questions that you might have, because it's usually just one way. And I hate that because I know you have a bunch of questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Losada. All right, other business. Opportunity for board members to request items to be placed on future board agendas. In our board operating procedures, it states that under work of the board, each board agenda will include an item under other business, giving board members the opportunity to request items to be placed on future board agendas with a motion and a second. This is the sole mechanism for a board member to add an item to the board agenda. Does anyone have an agenda item to add to a future board agenda?
I have one.
Okay.
On October 30th, we're going to have our facilities meeting. One of the things that we did last year that Josh presented to us is there was an overview of all of our trash cans, and then there was a survey of all of our trash cans on our campuses, and then it was decided that we were going to replace some of our trash cans. Sort of in line with that, I would like to have at the facilities meeting an overview of our benches out front of the schools. I think some of them have gotten to the point where they warrant either a removal or a removal and a replacement. And if we could have a survey of our benches, just to garner a second. This is a picture from this morning on one of our benches. And I'd just like to take a look at our benches at all of our campuses, a survey district-wide, and see where we can improve and what needs to be replaced.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. There's a first and a second to place that on the agenda.
And I'm going to, the one thing, we will definitely add that. I do want to get with Josh on timeline because the facility meeting is October 30th. It's this month. So to make sure that they do have time to complete that information. But if we will get it done as soon as possible. So just give me some time to get with Josh, and then we will get it to the meeting. But I would prefer if we could get it on that facilities meeting.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? Okay, reviewing the board activity chart. Obviously, we're super busy right now, but it looks like we have everything covered through at least November, going into December. So I think we're good. All right, consider approval of Tarrant Appraisal District TAD nomination of candidates, 10.03. Any questions or discussion?
So open this up, as you guys heard a little bit from Mr. Lasada. The process is twofold, a little different than our process. The 60 or 70 entities in Tarrant County have an opportunity to do a nomination. And based on those nominations, then becomes the slate of candidates, which we vote on in December. I don't believe that HEB has participated in the nomination process, but seeing how we've been following TAD pretty closely over the last 6 years, and it's been a little tumultuous, and I think it needs to be a board just like us, where longevity seems to offer that. Each entity is allowed to nominate several people, but at least one nomination in order to get onto that. So there's been some discussion prior. I did have a conversation with Mr. Griffin as a possibility, and he declined, citing his own reasons for doing so. So I would like to propose that HBISD nominate Gary Lasada. A copy of his resume is in your folder information, as well as some of the discussions that he has. That's my comments.
Any other comments or questions?
You want to now make it in the form of a motion?
Yeah. I move that we nominate Gary Lasada on behalf of the TAD board.
No, read it.
Oh,
Read it like
sorry.
it's there.
Oh, thank you. Where?
Under recommended action.
Oh, there we go. I move that the board approve the resolution to nominate Gary Lasada to serve on the Tarrant County District Board for the 2024-2025.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the board approve the resolution to nominate Gary Lasada to serve on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board for 2024-2025. Please vote. And that motion passes. We do not have a second closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.